I'm Catherine Buckley, and I'm director of the Bernice Cultural District. And Bernice is in Union Parish. I think Farmerville is also a cultural district, but we're the newest. We're the new district. We came in 2019. Bernice itself is a railroad town. It was established in 1899, but around Bernice, there are communities that their history goes back to the 1840s, some of them even a little bit earlier than that. We all share a Bernice address, and we consider Bernice our hometown, but smaller communities, people picked up, moved their businesses to Bernice. So in a way, Bernice was an overnight success for a railroad town because the people who in business around it just picked up stakes and moved there. And then it became a lumber town with sawmills. You had these huge trees, virgin forests that had never been cut. And as a result of the railroad and the lumber, you had quite a few questionable people coming through. It had a real interesting early, a good bit of, let me just say, they liked their saloons. They always had a saloon or a someplace to go, and things got pretty rowdy on Saturday nights. It started from the Bernice Historical Society. In the fall of 2018, we invited Brian Davis to be our speaker at our fall meeting. And some questions came up about some buildings in town, and did he have any recommendations to make for things that we could do to make some improvements? Well, Brian, he had grown up. His grandparents lived below us in Dubot, and he was familiar with the town. But he recommended that we apply to be a cultural district. And he shared some other cultural districts and some of the impacts being a cultural district had made on them. And he gave us Kelsey's number. So I called Kelsey, and a group of us met with her, and we walked around town. And because our fear was we didn't have enough, being a small town, we didn't have enough going for us to become a cultural district. And she began to point out things to us. So I guess in a way is she reminded us not to look at things with the same old eyes that we've been looking at them for 50 years. And that's how it came about. And I think that we have a real close relationship with the Historical Society. And I think that's the reason we sort of work hand in hand and helping each other on different projects. But that's how it started. Bring everybody together. Try to see how many people we could get out to share our name. We had some T-shirts made. A local artist designed our caboose. Thought I had a picture of it, but I don't. And we brought everybody into town, had a fried pie food truck. We called it Fried Pie Friday. And everybody came in, and they came to the tent where we were set up, and they would put their hands in some paint and then press their hands down on this mural. So at the end of the day, we had about 450 people that had come out, and we had covered two 8-foot, 6 by 8 foot murals with these hands on Bernice. So that was the very first thing we did. And the next thing, you know, being a cultural district, at first we thought everything had to flow with art. So we've since learned that there's lots of other things, you know, that come into play. But we thought, what can we do that will sort of make Bernice stand out? We already had some murals, but we thought, you know, this was bringing everybody together. So we decided to paint fire hydrants. We put out the word, we got with the fire department, and they could adopt a fire hydrant for $10. And then we provided the paint and the brushes and all of this. And we had 95 people that adopted fire hydrants. And they began to paint them. And we told them certain things they could and could not do. We had everything from a bank robber for the fire hydrant across the street from the bank. We had a Mardi Gras theme that actually won the contest. One of the old fire hydrants leaned a little bit, so the hospital turned that into the Leaning Tower of Pisa. They were second. A lot of creatives. In the hospital, they had a nurse on one side of the street, and on the other side of the street they had a doctor. So this was something that the town really bought into. And as a consequence, we've got about 90 fire hydrants around town that are really good. And that's how we found a lot of our artists. They were hiding until they got out there and made that fire hydrant. So anyway, they a lot of them have come on board and helped in other things too. The latest came about because of a back alley market we sponsored. There was a lady that she had talked several times about wanting to start a cafe. So we got the key to this old building and took her in the back door. And it was awesome. We opened the door and we shared with her, said, the back alley cafe. We pointed out some things. She bought the building. It was a 1918 building. We helped her get the tax credits, helped her with the paperwork, and she opened last fall. She opened a general mercantile in the front and a back alley cafe in the back, and it has been great. It's a very neat place to come and eat, and you can look all around you and see the history. And recently, across the street, a building had been vacant for years. A person just bought it, and they have come in and cleaned it out and now ready for the next step. So property that had been just sitting there for years. Since we started, I'd like to think that we've got a lot to do with it. I hate to brag, but I think when people see things happening and see what can be, and then there are 2 other buildings, other locations also that have been purchased with plans for them also to start. And we have a historic home in Bernice that we nominated for the endangered list last year. It's the oldest home in Bernice right now. It goes back to 1904. A beautiful Queen Anne architecture. But we can't get the owners to talk to people who want to buy it. And in the last 3 months, there have been at least 3 people stop and look at that house and have made inquiry to buy it. But we still plodding along. We think that one day maybe, they will. And we work with some other things in town. The Bernice Civic Clubhouse on the National Register, we've helped them. We wrote a little grant to get some work done on the floors and help pay for some repairs outside. But basically, we've got properties that had been sitting there for years that since July of 2019, I can name 5 that have sold. So I think the biggest impact was bringing people together behind a group of people that had a plan, that we were doing more than just talking. And I think people bought into that. So bringing us together, we developed, we had a market in Christmas of 2019. And we've turned that into monthly markets now, where the community comes together and vendors come in from everywhere. We had one last Saturday. We had 30 vendors. We have music. We have a America's Got Talent finalist who Slim Finley, the blues. He's performed for the last 2, and I think he said he'd come next time and bring his band. So it's a chance to come out and hear some good old Louisiana blues too. But we started a project, a little parklet. We turned a vacant lot between the town hall and this most recent building that is being renovated. And we turned it into a little park. And we've planted flowers. We made a flower bed out of an old bed, an actual bed frame. And we use cinder blocks and things to make corners, and just trying to get it to stand out. We're working on that. We're finishing up a huge mural on an old trailer. Yeah, we've turned that into a greetings from Bernice. And we have 2 artists who have helped us with that. And they met with different ones in the community who had ideas, and each letter of Bernice represents something either historic or something about us as a town. And we've got plans to do another mural about a half a mile away on a fence. We're going to do sunflowers. We've got some plans to stencil some of the sides of the old sidewalk so that it looks like brick. Trying to think, we had so many at one time. At first we thought we had to do everything at once. And we tried to too many things done at one time. And so we sort of slowed down and working on some things that are taking us longer. We'll be through with the greetings from Bernice mural probably in a month or 2. And then we'll start on something else. Christmas is coming, so we always will try to get the community together to do something at Christmas. So I'll just say that from that first day when we talked with Brian about the cultural district and about historic preservation. Since that time, we did have a historic district in town, but that commission had sort of been inactive. It has become more active in working with us. And in fact, we're working on 2 National Register applications right now. One of them for a small, either a district or a few buildings in town, and then for another for a cemetery out of town. But I think when I look back over all of that, I think that the biggest advice I could give somebody is don't ever think you're too rural or too small to accomplish something, because you couldn't be more rural than Bernice. And the population of the towns, but you can do it. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to go back and try something that maybe someone tried 15 years ago. It didn't work. Well, it might work now. In fact, we can prove it did in some cases. And we had a lot of that at first. It said, oh, we tried that before. But we told them, yes, but you hadn't tried it with us. So, and sometimes we'll try something, and we may have to reconfigure it, but just don't be scared. Don't be scared to try new things. Don't be scared to go back and try something that didn't work, because even that experience of it failing is going to help you succeed the next time. And I think it's the best thing that's ever been done in our little community. And it feels good, to be honest with you, to come out of the post office and hear people say, we like what y'all are doing. We're proud of what you're doing. And I think the pride of being from Bernice has come back. And I think being a cultural district has brought that about. And we will continue all of our historic preservation and working with the historical district. I think we all share the same vision, and that's to make Bernice better.